Reich faction. That's the Imperium's going to turn to the Third Reich now. But
He posted a picture on Twitter with Sean Dean. He's got his castle. It says justice on it. And then somebody says Hook is some fucking girl says on Twitter, Hook is what? Stokely, I hate your bald ass so much. And then Big Stoke on Twitter goes, wow, Hook will pay for his crimes. It was confirmed that there was a forearm fracture which required a cast. I am distraught. I rolled dice with my left hand, so I'm please don't make me sue this company, Tony Khan. Please, you know that a portrait of your father that's hanging in your office? Well, once I own this company, I'm replacing it with a big ass photo of James Brown. Yep. Every time you see the Godfather of Soul sweating in drug fueled rage at the Apollo, you're gonna think of me. Sounds pretty miserable, bro. Do the right thing. Punish this little bastard Hook and write me a fat check.
It's Wednesday, guys. You know what that means. It is time for your weekly dose of the Pro Wrestling Injection right here on the Pro Wrestling Injection YouTube and Twitch. I am the Outlaw, Zach Droll, and I'm here joined by Mr. Marathon Mike, and then down below, the Goon Christian. Full cast today, folks. Full cast. Everyone is back in town. Whew. All right. A lot of like contract news to talk about, but before we get into that, there has been small leaks and speculations showing um, that AEW is appearing on Max outside of the US as of right now. That means it is in the works. So, will the Max subscription go up? Probably. I'm already paying 18 a month. No, 19 a month for it. And it sucks. Then so will people have to pay for pay-per-views? Will pay-per-views kind of be like how WWE does on Peacock and everything? We'll have to find out. So stay tuned for that. I just found that out via Twitter from a bunch of other people outside the US sharing, saying, hey.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, it was basically there was an update to the Max app internationally, and there was AEW content, like a whole page worth of AEW content on the page. So people noticed that, and this so a deal might have been. So this obviously coincides with the media rights deal and the increase that they're going to get, which uh would entail them being finally on Max, which is obviously happening. It's just a matter of when, not if. But yeah, it did show up. Obviously, they're already integrating it, and they're looking to get it get it done. But that's the thing. The deal itself might be done already. I don't think it is yet, but we would not know about it if even if it was done already, we would not know about it until the upfronts, which is basically brand's big like event to for all their investors and their shareholders. Um, and they announced a bunch of stuff. They announced a bunch of partnerships, all this stuff. So we're not going to hear about this. I mean, we're not going to get an official announcement probably until the upfronts of the media rights deal. And what's it called? And the basically the whole you probably like even I think All In and All Out are gonna pass, but before this is announced, I think this could be announced before Full Gear. So I think Full Gear could be the first one where you'd have a uh basically you're paying for the service and you could just watch it on there. I think it'd be smart to do it that way. So get your last couple dollars out of All In and All Out, and then go from there. But yeah, this is gonna be a big story later on because this is huge. This is AEW's lifeblood. They need this media rights deal unless they don't have television. So but yeah, since it's already being integrated on Max, it's getting closer and they're already preparing for it. So it's not like it's gonna be sooner rather than later. And Tony has a meeting with David Zaslav in Paris, France, during the opening ceremonies of the Olympics this weekend, which is in 2 days, which has been what's it called? basically in the works for months. It has said like this has been a planned meeting for months. So that's why I believe the deal is going to be finalized, which is in 2 days. But you won't hear it announced until later, probably. But you'll probably hear it from the wrestling sheet. They'd probably hear from the sheets early. But yeah, this is
About
gonna
time.
get done. Yeah, I mean, I understand why, because the reason for the holdup was because TNT and, well, Warner Bros. Discovery, that is, was still in the rights negotiations for the NBA, and that obviously the NBA is a lot bigger of a property than AEW. So if they were still in the running for the NBA and they're making offers to the NBA, they obviously gonna have to wait. AEW is gonna have to take a back seat and wait until they do that with the NBA. But that's really all there is to it. But the other news is that we're not gonna go over it because it's just started. But the G1 started. It's been very good so far. Definitely check it out. Um
Probably gonna check it out
and
when it gets towards the end.
um
Maybe even.
but anyway, the main stories of this week were major contract updates on all fronts, which is AEW, TNA, WWE, not free agent non-competes coming up. But yeah, uh, so we had, first off, we had the Motor City Machine Guns most likely going to TNA. Not TNA, excuse me, not going to TNA, going to WWE, which we didn't know where they were gonna go because there was rumblings about them going to AEW a couple months ago, but they just like basically retired from the Indies, and I hope they go to AEW or WWE just because I just want them to get paid a lot because they deserve it. They're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. So that's the case on the Machine Guns. They're most likely going to WWE. We learned we learned that uh, Hikuleo finally signed to WWE. That report came out last Friday, and he's obviously, that was probably the best decision for him because I mean, you have his entire family there in WWE right now in a top angle. I mean, now he's with his brothers Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, so it's just a matter of time until he shows up on WWE television. We also had today. This news broke today, but Buddy Matthews re-signed in February with AEW. So that's very good to hear. I really hope they give him a bigger push because in my opinion he's the most underrated professional wrestler in the world. Um, I'm like I my comparisons to him are Kenny Omega, and like the guys like Takeshita and Osprey. I think he could be one of those guys just one day. Um, like say if he like I would love to see him go get a tour through Japan because he'd absolutely rock it over there. But yeah, Buddy Matthews, he re-signed to AEW. Uh, Malachi Black, there was no update on that, but the Malachi Black thing was that we got confirmation that his contract will be taking him into 2025. So that's the only thing we heard about that, but his contract's going to be taking him into 2025. Um, we also had news on the NXT front, which has been popping off lately because of the TNA partnership. You have Delta from the Australian Indies from Riot Pro Wrestling, who many have not heard about. Which I never heard of this woman, which is kind of rare for me because I usually know who everybody is. But Delta, she is a women's wrestler from Australia, from Riot Wrestling, which is the same promotion where Rhea Ripley came up. So she was just signed to NXT, so that's another big name. Well, not big name, but like big signing for the women's division in NXT, along with Julia and Stephanie Vaquer. So, nice little. I mean, the NXT WWE women's division is just even women's wrestling in general, and all companies, women's wrestling right now has been fucking incredible. This has been the best ever I've ever seen it. Um, but uh, but yeah, besides that, we also had an update on Jordan Grace's contract. Her contract will be expiring at year's end, and if she doesn't end up on it doesn't end up in NXT, I would be shocked. I'd put fucking a lot of money on that, and I'm not a gambling man. But Shawn Michaels loves her. WWE, obviously, she was the first person through the door for the TNA partnership. So obviously they really like her, and they're gonna make her a substantial offer. But yeah, so Jordan Grace, that's as well. Um, and basically that's really all there is to it on the contract front. Uh, the other stuff is, which is not contract worth, it's free agent worthy, is the non competes for a couple of talents that were released recently. I have expired Jinder Mahal, who's now going by the name Raj Desi, which is his real name. He appeared in GCW already. Cameron Grimes has an entire new look. His contract, his non compete clause is has expired. Um, his non compete clause is expired, and very happy for those guys. They're finally gonna kill it out on these. Cameron Grimes, especially that guy. I think WWE had a huge missed opportunity in him. I really enjoy him, and
Mike,
he's really good.
what are you hyped about watching? I'm like confused right now.
If the Mets game ends right here, I win $900 from a box pool.
Very good.
All right then.
What's it called? But yeah.
Sorry, I probably should have mentioned that earlier. My bad.
But anyway, what's it called? That's really all there is to it on the contract and non-compete front. I think uh I'm pretty sure that's the only type of, because yeah, Cameron Grimes was released separately, apart from like other release waves. But yeah, that's really all there is to it. So, uh, pretty good this week. Very not too much, and yeah, but that brought us into the show tonight. We had AEW Blood and Guts,
Yes.
which oh wait, excuse me. I've completely forgot one, which is actually kind of major. I completely forgot one. There's so many contract stuff. I forgot one. Uh, this was what's it called? So he just won.
Mike has won $900. Congrats, Mike. Congrats.
Thank you.
Just to address
I
the
better not have
comments,
mixed this up.
someone named Elliot was like, "Bro, you good?"
I am, yeah, I'm doing a lot better now.
And
I hope
also-
I didn't mix it up and get the reverse and not the actual final, but either way, I made money tonight, so yay!
And also, hello, CWM McDonald. See you in the comments. As well, sorry, Christian, continue.
What's it called? Bobby Lashley and MVP are expected to leave the WWE, which I thought was fucking shocking as shit, because I was wondering like why Lashley wasn't on television lately.
Oh,
But
he went off
this,
on Instagram comments.
Oh, did he? Really?
MVP.
well, I'm not talking about MVP. And Bobby Lashley, he wasn't on television for a while, and I was very curious why that was. Which this makes sense why. Now MVP was originally brought back to be a producer, but then he was able to, what's it called? He was able to wrestle. But we had in the pandemic, we had a faction of theirs called the Hurt Business, which was very good for the pandemic, for like that pandemic period, which nobody really wants to remember. But one of the highlights of it was the Hurt Business, and it consisted of Bobby Lashley, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander. Um, and it never really got the write off, and really never got the push it deserved, or like the time and the care that it deserved. And it kind of gets it kind of gets forgotten about a lot, because the Bloodline started like right after, and its Bloodline started right like during that stuff. So it never really got its chance in the sunlight. Oh, it was just really basically a pandemic thing, and I think it was said that all four of those guys really liked it and really wanted to saw a future in it and wanted to do it. But Vince, obviously this was still under Vince's jurisdiction. He's still fucked it up. But Lashley and MVP are expected to leave WWE and reform the Hurt Business. Shelton is, yeah, that's the other guy whose non-compete is up. Shelton Benjamin. I mean, so there's three members. Cedric is still in he's still in WWE. He just went back to NXT. So you're not gonna get Cedric unless he waits out his contract.
Mm-hmm.
But you have Bobby. You have three of the four. You have Bobby, MVP,
And
which he's not. He's not going to be wrestling all the time MVP. So it's mostly just Bobby and Shelton. They can get two other guys, but it's literally for Bobby Lashley, who's a huge star, and he's a. I mean, WWE fans. I could see him going to AEW. But I think I could see him going back to TNA as well, because what this sounds like to me is a package deal. These guys want to do this story and want to do this group badly, and that's why they're leaving WWE, because obviously they showed no expression they want to do it. So they're going to take it to TNA or AEW or somewhere else. And probably with new members, and we'll see how it goes. But that was huge. I thought
I think
seeing that
taking it
was
to
extremely shocking
TNA
that Bobby
might
was going to
be.
leave.
I think taking it to TNA might be the better idea.
Well,
I could
I
see
think
it
so.
popping up in AEW, but I think TNA it would thrive better.
Well, there's
think
the
so.
thing about that. If you didn't see, that's the one thing when people talk about that, which I know a lot of people don't watch TNA, or pay attention to it, but I do. And if you watch NXT, you're basically watching half a
Oh,
TNA
that's
show.
right.
Um, um, but the NXT TNA partnership is extremely strong,
Yes.
and it's fucking great. It's great. They just had the Rascals on there. I think that they have Joe Hendry as like the main guy. Joe Hendry's fucking. I mean, that guy. Uh, he's in like one of the top
He
acts
got
right now.
over as a meme, and now he's just and he's always been a great wrestler, like through and through. I remember watching
Yeah.
him with WCPW back in like 2016. Like
Yeah, but
he's great.
but yeah, like but yeah, they're gonna obviously if they want to be away from WWE, and that's the thing too. It's not just because if you're TNA, you're gonna have to automatically work NXT. That's not the case. Like Mustafa Ali just got released from NXT, less than a year ago, and he was the X Division champion for months in TNA, and he didn't even sniff NXT. And it's only been a select few people in the TNA and NXT thing that have crossed over, but it's not something that's gonna stop. Um, and it's like a possibility. I'm sure there's no bad blood between Lashley and WWE. So however, I just don't know where Bobby Lashley would be a big name get for AEW. Um, but they're already faction heavy with so you're not buying a talent in Bobby Lashley, you're buying a faction where it would really only it would be realistically it would be Bobby and MVP obviously because they want to do it together, and then they would probably want to bring Shelton in as well, and then you would probably have to add a couple people who are already on the AEW roster.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
What
could
was
add
that
somebody.
thing a while back with Caster saying he doesn't want Shelton Benjamin in AEW? What happened with that
Yeah, he
exactly?
was. Yeah, that was just a Twitter gimmick. He was trolling.
Oh, okay, yeah, because
Uh,
I just heard about it from word of mouth. So
yeah, that was a Twitter gimmick. He was trolling. And I think he was. I don't know. I think he might have been hyping up an indie match or something. Um, yeah,
mm.
but yeah, that's really all there was to it for the news this week. But yeah.
All right. So we're not gonna jump right on into AEW Blood and Guts. We kick off today's show with Alex Marvez in the back of some random place, not the arena, but actually the
It was
arena.
the hotel parking garage, they said.
I don't believe that at all.
Well, that's what they said.
It's well, I have been in like maybe a few hotel parking garages. Never seen that one before. Never seen one look
Nope.
like that. I've seen them look like normal fucking garages type thing.
All right.
But
Well,
so
we also had a dinosaur on this show.
okay, and it's yeah, and so
So where you draw the line?
I don't fucking know, bro.
But anyway, we start off with Osprey. He's trying to rush to the arena, but he sees that his car's tires has been slashed, and there's an X-Acto knife sticking out of the tire. So Marvez he begs Marvez for his keys.
No,
Marvez
he
gives him the
doesn't beg. He
keys.
goes, "Give
Oh, he
me."
forces him. So he gives him his keys.
He straight up says, "Give me this man." I thought he was gonna steal the car for a second.
Well, he didn't. He just drove it for him.
And then he was like,
But,
"You never drove in the U.S. before?" Nah. Then Marvez
Nah, and
lets
then
out
hit-
the
So Marvez and Osprey take off to the arena, but here comes MJF with a bunch of cheerleaders, the new international champion. MJF starts talking about how obviously he's ripping on the fucking place. He's ripping on Nashville, Tennessee. He's talking about how it was the easiest match he ever did last week. He
30
didn't even break a
seconds,
sweat.
dub.
He didn't even break a fucking sweat, even though this guy had an oxygen mask on.
And took an ice bath immediately after too.
Yeah, but
Oh, I would hope so.
Just
But
to
yeah,
announce the CMLL show.
yeah, MJF, he's talking talking hot about Osprey. He's saying, "Didn't your grandma die recently? Hopefully you dig down a lot more feet so you don't need to be anywhere near that fat skank." It was like, Jesus Christ, Mac. He completely healing on the crowd. Guy was fantastic. He's just running down Osprey, and then he ends up throwing the international title in the trash, because he said Nashville, Tennessee is disgusting. It's not as good as Plainview, Long Island, New York, the most magical place in the world. He throws the title out, and because this is the only country that matters, because I'm American. He's basically said, "I'm America's champion." And he says, instead of the international champion, now it's going to be the American championship. And it's a fucking, it's the international title, but instead of the flag, instead of the flags, it's the, like the continent of the United States, and the strap is red, white, and blue. It's the flag. Then here comes the confetti. Here comes the American flag with MJ's face instead of the stars.
That
but yeah,
was hilarious.
yeah.
Someone
And
on
I love the title because it's not supposed to look good. It's supposed to look bad. It's supposed to look ugly. It's supposed to look like that. Because he's not gonna have this for very long. But yeah, it's supposed to look like shit.
someone
But
called
yeah,
it on Twitter. This is MAGA's title now.
that'd
I'm
be
like,
fucking
holy fucking Christ.
shit. Sign me up if that's the case. But what's it called? Listen, all MJF needs to do now, cause Osprey ran at him and tried to fucking jump him, and then basically he explained to Max what he did, how he cheated, and he talked to Tony Khan, and Tony Khan gave him a rematch at Wembley on his home soil for the international title. So that's gonna be great. But all MJF has to do now is like get shot, and he's gonna flip the crowd on Osprey.
Oh my god.
He would flip the entire crowd on Osprey.
Oh my god.
And so, listen, let me tell you something. That RNC was Republican WrestleMania. I'd never seen anything like it. I thought fucking Cody was about to show up. It was fucking amazing. I loved it. I loved it for once. I loved it. I thought, see, if the DNC doesn't bring out, like, they need to bring out fucking, they got to do something to top that. They had Dana White, Kid Rock, and Hulk Hogan back to back. They got to bring out fucking who they got to bring out. They got to bring somebody out, like The Rock. Like maybe you bring out
just don't
Jim
fucking
Cornette.
care.
Yeah, I don't care either. It just this is all entertainment.
We're going into like this nation is going to hell in a handbag.
Well,
quick.
no, it's been like that. It happened. That happened a while ago.
Yeah, that happened probably back in like the 70s.
Yeah, but
for all we know.
But yeah, they need to step up if they want to touch what happened there. Because Hulk Hogan, that guy fucking rewrote every goddamn narrative about him, from habitual liar to American hero, which he is. Because fucking Real American is a banger, and he brought that song to my ears. So
that is a banger.
But anyway, MJF, he's already pissed off. He doesn't want to give Osprey the rematch. But yeah, this is always going to be the case. MJF and Osprey at Wembley. I think Osprey's going to win the title back on his home soil. And I think obviously that's what I think. I don't think MJ's going to lose clean. I think Garcia will fuck him over, and that's how you'll get to the All Out match the 2 weeks later with Garcia and MJF. But yeah, great opening segment. I really enjoyed it. After this, we had a backstage segment with the Elite, and they laid out Christopher Daniels so he couldn't do the official coin toss. So he has Okada, Jack Perry, and the Bucks standing over him. They call on Bryce to do the coin toss. He's like, "Look, it's a fair coin. Elite on one side, Team AW on the other." So they flip the coin. Matt does it. It lands on the Bucks. It's a double-sided coin. It has the Bucks on one side, Okada on the other side. So they're obviously gonna. But that's the thing about like Blood and Guts. The heels should never not have the advantage.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for like the babyface to ever have the advantage in like a War Games Blood and Guts type match. So that made that I was fine with that. And then after we got into the Chris Jericho versus Minoru Suzuki FTW title match.
God.
Dude, this was better than it had any right to be.
They beat
Yeah.
the shit out of
well,
each other.
Well,
Yeah.
this is basically what's it called? This was basically, if you remember, this was very similar and kind of the same match that Jericho had with Tomohiro Ishii. I think it might have been a year and a half ago, or a year ago, like a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years. But basically, they were chopping so hard that Ishii broke skin on Jericho's chest, and he was bleeding all over the place. And the same thing happened here. Jericho's fucking chest was chopped meat. It was a bloody mess by Suzuki. They chopped for about 10 minutes. And then Jericho finally put a stop to it and started having a real match with him. They were chanting "Chop Forever." That was funny. But Jericho ended up hitting him in the balls. It was FTW rules. They couldn't do anything about it. Hitting the Judas effect on Suzuki and retaining the title. Afterwards, Bill and Brian Keith, they jumped Suzuki. But here comes Shibata to make the save and stand with Suzuki. And I thought this was good. It was cool. Jericho getting his fucking chest battered, and that must have not have felt
Jesus.
very good. But but fun match. I thought it was pretty good. So
Shout out to Taz during this match, because when they spilled out by the announce table and they were basically right next to him, you can just hear him going, "You suck, Jericho! You suck!"
yeah, that was funny.
I got a kick out of that one.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's not wrong. Fuck you, Jericho. But
Eh,
yeah.
After this, see, I like Jericho.
We
still.
had
I'm
Renee
indifferent on
in the
Jericho.
back
I can like
trying
him and
to.
not like him.
I like
I don't-
Jericho. He doesn't. It's just I don't understand.
I like
his
him
problem.
because
He's
he
older.
knows exactly what he's doing.
That's
Like he's older. It's like it's not like this is the first time we've seen an older wrestler far past his prime in a ring.
Yeah.
Oh,
that has still can go.
that's something that I just remembered from the news that we didn't cover. The Ric Flair deal with AEW is done.
Well, that's been done.
Well, it's officially been reported now that it's done. It's done. That's why you don't see any Woo Energy being promoted.
Did you guys ever try that? Because I did not.
You can only find that at like a random bodega, probably in New York. I don't see that anywhere down here, especially in North Carolina, where he's from.
Heh, LOL.
I don't
Well,
see
okay,
it
well,
at
that
the
answers-
Circle
that
K
answers-
across the street. I don't see it at a fucking CVS up the road.
That answers my question. But I'm gonna ask my other wrestling friends if they ever tried it. It probably sucked because a lot of them do. So, kind of like Prime.
But anyway,
There's only one
after
good
this-
flavor of Prime for me.
after this we had
we had Renee in the back trying to interview the new what title did Willow
it was
just
the
win again?
CMLL Women's World Champion.
The new CMLL Women's World Champion Willow Nightingale, and then immediately
Which beforehand, I just want to mention this, because Stephanie Valkyrie had to drop all the titles because she signed with WWE. Willow won the title. Willow is the first ever American-born woman to hold that title in history, and
Oh, shit.
CMLL is the oldest professional wrestling promotion in the world. So that's a crazy stat. So Willow is the first American woman to hold that championship, which is very cool.
damn.
These flavors of Woo Energy are busted. Pineapple, berry, strawberry, banana, dragon fruit, and then lemon. Who wants to drink a carbonated strawberry banana drink? That sounds vile.
No. Uh, just no.
That sounds
I don't drink soda.
actually
So
vile.
I only really drink ginger ale. So,
I drink water, iced tea, and that's about it.
ooh, iced tea. Lipton? Or,
No.
yeah.
Homemade
No.
shit.
Oh, homemade. Okay. Never mind. Anyway, so Renee is trying to interview Willow, and then who the hell appears? Oh my god, it's Stokely Hathaway and his bald aura. And next thing you know, Chris Statlander just comes out of nowhere, beats the shit out of her, gives her a slam onto a couple of crates used for, moving stuff between arenas. And that honestly looks. I don't care how long you've been a wrestling fan, I don't ever want that done to me, because that would actually probably really hurt.
Yeah.
And
In case you
she
want to know
basically.
what Stokely calls Statlander, it's Cheeklander.
Mhm.
Oh, God. This man needs to be stopped.
Yep.
This man needs to be stopped.
But yeah, that was so she's there.
She holds up the title and is just like, I'm coming for this. And I'm just like, all right.
They're still going at it.
Yes, sir. Then after this, we had a Bryan Danielson interview clip with Renee. Was this the close-up thing that they did?
No, Close Up is a YouTube show. Close Up is a YouTube.
This is a part of the close-up that's coming out soon.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So we
That's what
had
they
that
said.
next, and I actually really liked what they did here.
Yeah.
They had they had
yeah,
Jeff Jarrett come out and pretty much just say I'm happy it was you who won. You got over the hurdle that I couldn't.
Yeah, that and basically he's telling him it's time to lock in. Like, listen, if it sounds like you got one foot out the door, it sounds like you're almost done. Sounds like you're trying to make an excuse, but no, it's time to basically get in the game and do this. He's basically telling him to lock in and saying, like, just listen, you need to go in there and you need to go win that championship.
Yeah, what did he say? It's like, if you're gonna go all in, you better go all in.
So yeah, and Brian, he said he's got a lot of thinking to do, and he's got he's got a lot of work to do. So I'm very, very, very excited to see that, because Brian, it's basically going to be billed probably as his last shot, which I could see. Like, I don't think they're going to take the belt off Swerve, but I think they could. I think it's not out of the realm of possibility to give Brian the title, because Wrestle Dream is in Tacoma, Washington, which is the hometown of Swerve, and you can have Brian have a couple month long run, have Swerve battle Hangman again, and then Swerve can challenge. You can loop her back around to have Swerve have the rematch with Brian in Tacoma, Washington, which is Swerve's hometown, number one, home state of Bryan Danielson as well. And where did Bryan Danielson said he wanted to officially retire as a full-time in-ring competitor? Wrestle Dream. That's where he said it. So I think if they want to give Bryan the title, All In is the place to do it, and let him have it for a couple months.
And All Out is 2 weeks after, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I
think you just laid out. I think you just laid that right out.
Yeah, and I don't think Bryan is going to be wrestling Swerve, obviously, on All Out.
That's going to be Swerve and Hangman.
That's going to Hangman.
Yeah.
But Bryan...
That makes too much sense.
Bryan, and that's the thing. In my opinion, Bryan wouldn't even need to be on that show, because I think they could main event that show with Swerve and Hangman. Even if Swerve isn't the champion, they do not even need to have Bryan on that show.
Well, doesn't the Rampage Rumble
for Grand Slam?
That's for Grand Slam. Okay.
So yeah, the Royal Rampage that's going to be happening on Rampage is going to determine the challenge, the champion's challenger for Grand Slam. So we'll see who that is. The only people we know about who are going to be in are Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, but I kind of want to spoil it for myself, because I'm at work when Rampage is on.
Yeah, same.
I'm not going to look at it yet.
At least this week. Knowing me, I'll probably catch it at some point over the weekend.
who's gonna have.
Shout out to Jeff Jarrett though for basically going from full on heel to getting cheered every week, basically or kind of instantaneously. So
Yeah.
shout out to him. Yeah, no, he's doing a good job last couple weeks. I like what I'm seeing.
But yeah. After this, we had Hikaru Shida versus Britt Baker. This is Britt Baker's first match back in probably over a year. Shida, she wrestled on Collision this weekend, last weekend, which unfortunately I just want to mention this. Get well through the Sky Blue. She looks to have broken her ankle. Um, in that match, it was on a flying crossbody outside the ring. It was nobody's fault. It was just it was one of those things that
It was
just
bad
happened.
placement.
It was just it was
Yeah.
just it was just a complete accident. It just happens. It's the business. You get one of those every now and then. It sucks, but get well soon to Sky Blue. Um, but yeah, we had Sheeta versus Britt Baker here. She looked really cool. With new gear. But yeah, this was pretty good for Britt's first match back. Getting the ring rust off. Sheeta looked good. Just pretty good. Britt won with the lockjaw. But yeah, the story here wasn't a match. Obviously, these two have history, but there's nothing going to be with these two for right now. But after the match, here comes Mercedes. To talk shit on Britt Baker. She's saying basically you want a match at Wembley, and I think that'd be a great idea. The CEO versus the DMD, and as she's saying that, the camera pans up, and all of a sudden, somebody attacks Britt Baker, and it turns out to be Camille Brickhouse from the NWA, who is not with the NWA anymore, but she signed with AEW months ago, but they were just waiting on the perfect time to debut her, and today was that day. And Camille, she I've seen her a couple times. I've heard nothing but great things. A lot of people call her the white Jade Cargill that could work, because obviously she's a lot more seasoned. But little background on her, Camille, she has been in the NWA. She was the longest reigning NWA Women's World Champion for a very long time. Um, she was basically almost exclusively there for a while. Then she's been on indies. Uh, she had offers from both AEW and WWE, but she did choose AEW. But yeah, she is very good. She was on AEW once before, because AEW had talent go to the NWA show. They had Layla Hirsch work her, and Layla Hirsch and Camille had a face off once time on Dynamite, when Camille was the champion.
I remember
But I
that.
said this weeks ago, saying that when we were talking about Camille being brought in, I said I think Camille or Megan Bain would be a great enforcer or heater for Mercedes,
Mhm.
and this is what we got.
I think
Uh, we got Camille as the heater for Mercedes, which I think is a great idea.
people are looking at it that maybe instead of the TBS title match, this could just set up for the tag team match
No,
with Mercedes Monet and I'm losing track of names.
Camille.
Yeah, Camille, and then you bring in Jamie Hayter. She's ready to return by Wembley.
You could do that all out.
You can you can hype up like you're bringing.
No, you're doing a show in front of 50,000 people. You put your best foot forward, and
Also,
that
what's
is
the status with Jamie?
Still
Because
unknown.
last
She's
thing I
coming back
saw
soon.
was okay.
was
Because the last report I saw was she went.
singles.
Yeah, she went to get, and then I heard no update after that.
Well, there's not supposed to be. That's good that we don't have an update. That means they're tight-lipped about it. Which is funny. Like I don't. It's funny things when we get updates. Like as a fan, you probably wish you didn't have updates because then it would be more of a surprise. But she's coming back at all in. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. But yeah,
It's either you can like.
there's no reason to do. They could do that tag match the week after. You put your best foot
Well,
forward
it's like
on a
it's
Wembley
either
show.
it's either you do
Yeah.
the tag team match or you have her help Tony Storm.
Who, Jamie?
Yeah, don't they
No,
have history?
Jamie's gonna be involved in Tony. She's not gonna be involved with Britt and Mercedes. Because the last person Jamie wrestled was Tony, and she's got history with Tony. They could even have a triple threat at All Out with Jamie, Tony, and Mariah. And bridge off where Jamie and Tony have a problem, and then Mariah goes off and does her own thing. But there's no reason to not have that DMD versus CEO match at Wembley, because I just think that would be stupid for them not to do that on that show. That's already been built up to this regard. That's a major match in the women's division. So you got to do that there. This isn't a fucking Tokyo Dome show when they used to have 2 nights and the main event was a tag team match with just hyping up the main event of the next week's show. It's like, I don't know, just don't do that. But anyway, but yeah, so Camille, obviously signed. She didn't get the graphic yet, but she's been signed for months. But yeah, I'm very happy to see this. I think it's helpful that she has a heater, so Mercedes doesn't have to keep running away and doing shit, like that. But yeah, very, very excited for this.
Oh yeah.
After that,
We had the patriarchy.
this motherfucker not letting anyone hold titles.
No, bro.
He
Good
has
shit.
so
all
good.
3.
So good.
When you grow up, you can get your own titles.
So technically, it's blocked off. But I did buy my own title at one point.
Would it be funnier if he just was holding all 9 by himself?
Well,
Oh.
they don't need all 9 anymore.
I know they don't.
If they
but
still
I
work
mean,
with all 9, yes, it would be funny. But
Yeah, but
I would love to know
we
how
didn't
the
need
hell
that
he would
anymore.
try to accomplish that.
That wouldn't even make sense.
I know. It would just be
They would have the
randomly
acclaims
funny.
belts. It's like they have nothing to fucking do with the acclaimed anymore. But yeah, Patriarchy are the new trio champs. They won them on Collision. But yeah. Also, that's another thing. Jay White actually does have a injury. That's why he has a foot injury. It's very minor.
Yeah.
They're saying, and he
Thank
shouldn't
God.
even miss significant time. So he'll be back whenever. And they're probably gonna end up, I think, either with a Christian Cage and Jay White match at Wembley, or you do the Pac match, there. But anyway, he's talking about this, and then they're talking about how Nick's gonna be in the Royal Rampage, and then Nick goes over, he sees Kip Sabian, and he says, "What do you do? I keep seeing you hanging around here," because he's always been hanging around the Patriarchy's like backstage segments, and he's like, "Listen, I'm gonna throw your ass out, and nobody cares that your dad is dead. Man up." And I'm like, Jesus, like father, like son, I guess. So he was talking shit. So there's gonna be something with that with Nick and Kip, during the Royal Rampage. And after that, we had Pac. He had a little squash match against Boulder. That was really about it. Then we had Team AEW. They had their little promo, I believe, where
Yes, sir.
Darby and Swerve started arguing because obviously they don't like each other. They have bad blood. And then the Acclaim started going after Swerve because obviously they have bad blood and they have history. And Swerve's like, why are we doing this right now? And then Mark Briscoe comes in and basically is the voice of reason, when Mark Briscoe is the voice of reason, you got a fucked up squad. So he starts saying, we're going to fuck it. He said, whatever.
he's the
I'm not even gonna.
for the conglomeration.
That's the conglomeration. You got to conglomerate. You got to be down to conglomerate.
What's the word of the day today?
Conglomerate. But Mark he bands the boys together and they're ready to go. But before that we had Mariah May debuting her, well, which is what she came in as the glamour Mariah May. That was her name. But obviously they did that stuff with Tony. New entrance, graphics, new music, new gear. This is actually what Mariah is. It's not like a cosplay Tony anymore. I'm glad we got to finally get to see like Mariah as her, but she beat a jobber in quick fashion.
She
She
killed
used
her with that
the
drop kick.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's well.
Yeah, the
Listen,
first
when you
one
go to
especially, yeah.
when you go to Japan and you're a women's
Yeah.
wrestler, they teach you how to drop kick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but the finish was she hit the Mayday and then she put her in the corner, hit the hip attack, and then hit the Storm Zero.
She
Um,
hit a nasty hip attack. Too.
um, but
That close up was wild.
yeah, but she puts her out. But she's celebrating. Here comes a woman in a black wig and a
Well, no.
and a
She's celebrating. Then Tony's music
Tony's
hits,
music hit, and then
and
here's
she plays it off
yeah,
as if she's the one who set it up, like laughing, ha 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 ha. Then a
yeah,
woman runs, pops into the ring with a black wig, takes off the wig. It's none other than
and
Tony Storm.
Tony Storm. So here's Tony Storm. She is fucking beside herself. She's looking like she wants to fucking just kill this woman. They're
I'll
going at it. This is
kill
the first time.
you.
This is the first time we've seen Tony since the attack on her. But her and Mariah going at it. They needed to be separated. There was a big pull apart. Tony then gets on the mic and says, "Mariah, are you ready? Are you prepared to die? Because I am." So this is a hot angle, a hot feud going into Wembley, and I'm very excited for this matchup.
It's gonna be
But
a
that brought us
very solid match.
But that brought us to our main event,
It's time
Blood and Guts.
For the main event.
So Blood and Guts. We kick off with none other than the scapegoat Jack Perry coming down to the ring with a scapegoat chair, and who is his first opponent going to be?
Darby Allin.
It's like I
Oh,
cannot wait for
yeah.
their match at
Yeah, as
all.
soon as I saw Darby coming first, I'm like, oh, Jesus, this fucking guy's coming and he's going to be in there for an hour in fucking Blood and Guts.
Well, he did
But,
say he was gonna do some crazy shit, and there it is.
yeah, which he did, I know Darby never really disappoints ever.
Nope.
But let's start off with Jack and Darby. They were going at it. We're not gonna go play by play we're just gonna go off the hits of this match.
Yeah, I think at one point it just stopped being every 5 minutes. It felt.
Well, it wasn't. It was never every 5 minutes. On the rules, it said just every few minutes, so they don't have to follow the rule. But yeah. So it was Darby and Jack to start. They're going at it. Then here comes, Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson. He brings in a briefcase and a chair. They're all going at it. Then Mark.
Justin Roberts is getting a fine. He said Nick Jackson, by the way.
He did. He did.
He's getting fined.
With Nicholas, so Nicholas, he's in there, and then here comes Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe comes in, and they're
that would
going
be
at
a
it.
perfect BTE bit too. Damn.
But yeah, the match
Oh, wow.
it has been going crazy so far. I mean, even before the Darby and Jack were fighting in the crowd, but they're hitting each other with fucking chairs, kendo sticks. There's a garbage can involved. A lot of crazy shit going on. After Nicholas and then after Mark, it was Matthew Jackson. Here comes Matthew. And Matthew is in
Justin
there.
Roberts
Another
got that one right.
briefcase.
Mhm.
Yes, he did.
There was a great spot where Nicholas, he jumped from what's it called, from ring to ring, and did a Meltzer driver, or Tony Khan driver, to I think it was Mark. But they were throwing fucking ladders at each other and shit. It was crazy. And
It's
then
always scary when they use a real metal ladder, because that's a real metal
Yeah.
one. Versus
here
like
comes-
the foam ones that they get for the ladder matches.
Yep. Then here comes Anthony Bowens. Anthony Bowens is in next. He's out here. He brings in a bunch of plunder. He's got scissors that he's stabbing Jack Perry in the head with. He's putting them in his mouth and he's closing them. That was
Yeah.
crazy.
That's like Nick Gage type shit there with the pizza cutter to the
Yeah.
sides of the mouth.
At this point, like Mark Briscoe and Jack Perry, they were already busted open. People are bleeding all over the place. I mean, what's blood and guts without some blood?
Darby does the skateboard spot, putting
The
tacks,
skateboard kick, the skateboard,
tack
fucking
spot.
kickflip
Oh,
onto
yeah.
with the tackle written right into Matt's arm. Then Jack started pulling him out. Next after Bowens, we had Okada, which was funny because I was like,
Rainmaker
Okada,
Drive.
he had the Rainmaker drives. Okada ain't never been in a fucking match like this in his life. He ain't never been around anything like this. But here comes Okada. Matthew and Nicholas put a handful of attacks in this guy's, and then he puts it in Max Caster's mouth, who came out after. And they super kick Max Caster in the face while he has the tacks in his mouth, which is always a gnarly spot because he gets scared he's gonna swallow one. But Okada, he's hitting all these guys with the Rainmaker Drive sign. Max Caster's hitting people in the head with a microphone. There was a crazy spot where they had two pieces of barbed wire boards and they sandwiched Anthony Bowens in between them and Nick did a swanton bomb onto one, completely flush. But then it came time for Hangman Adam Page to come out, which I actually thought of this, and this was kind of obvious, but Hangman did not come out during his entrance because obviously Hangman does not give a fuck about the Acclaimed or Mark Briscoe or Darby Allin. He gives a fuck about one man and one man only, and that's Swerve Strickland. So I was like, okay, he's not coming out until Swerve comes out. So here comes Swerve, and before Swerve gets down the ramp, here comes Hangman Adam Page. Attacks him from behind with a chair. He's going after Swerve. He pushes Nana. He hits Nana, and then he handcuffs Swerve to the chain link fence. He's beating the shit out of him. Matt Jackson's trying to fucking yell at him, saying, "Hey!" But he's not even listening. He's beating him. He's beating him. And Matthew basically says, "Hey, if you don't get in this ring, you're fired." And then he finally stops and gets in the ring.
That'll get you to do something.
And then it comes the spot that I don't really like the most when it comes to handcuff spots, the forever of uncuffing, when they are like they are gimmick cuffs, clearly. But like that's always a rough spot because it always takes forever to unhook it. But so they uncuff. So out comes Jeff. So Jeff Jarrett's on his way out, and Cutler's trying to stop him. Like, hey, stop it! Nope, don't do it. Hey, just don't. Brandon Cutler takes the guitar shot to the head. They out comes Daddy Ass to assist Jeff Jarrett uncuffing Swerve. Swerve gets uncuffed. He can't get through the door because the door is locked. So they do bolt cutters with the cage, and
cuts through that cage.
Is now in.
Yeah, so now the match has officially begun.
Even though it officially begun beforehand.
Yeah,
Matt was like, I don't care.
Because Matt bypassed it. But yeah, Swerve's here we go. He's wrecking shop. He's beating the shit out of everybody. And then here comes him and Hangman. They're facing off. They start going at it in between the rings. They're just fighting between themselves. Everything's all chaos at this point. It was a great spot. There was double-decker tables where Nicholas put Anthony Bowens with double-decker tables. That was crazy. The spot where they opened up the briefcase to see four staple guns, and they surrounded the Elite surrounded Swerve. They started jumping Swerve with staple guns. They started stapling him in all parts of his body, and then Swerve just starts laughing, and then he ends up getting the staple gun. He fights them all off. There was one great one where Okada was about to hit a rainmaker on Swerve, but then he just stopped and did this, and Swerve fucking stapled his middle finger.
Oh,
that was great. Then he stapled Hangman's cheek. Then they end up fighting. Swerve and Hangman ended up fighting up the ramp, and then they ended up going through two tables on the side of the stage, and that was the last we saw of Swerve and Hangman. That was it for them. So the rest of the match was the Elite and Team AEW. There was a great spot where Darby Allin did a coffin drop from literally the ceiling.
Spider-Man Jones.
And that was a great spot. They ended up handcuffing Jack. Okada was already taken out at this point. Owens and Caster were already done. But now it's really just Mark, Jack, and Darby and Matthew. So they handcuffed Jack to the cage. where he can't move his arms, and Darby ends up getting a can of gasoline because he's
like,
already
time
set
to
this
the
guy.
party started.
He's already attempted murder on this guy once, so what's twice? So he starts pouring gasoline on him, and Darby brings over a lighter, and before that, Mark Briscoe ends up hitting him in the stomach with kendo sticks, and then he hits him square in the head, unprotected, with a chair, which obviously was a gimmick chair because it was a
Yeah.
scapegoat chair, which they knew that's the gimmick one. But that was a nasty spot. But Darby basically said, "Listen, I'll set you on fucking fire if you don't give me a TNT title match at Wembley. I'll do it." And
Matt's
Jack's saying no, he's
I'll
spitting
do it.
on him,
and then
and then
Matthew's like, yep.
Matthew's like, "It's going too far. You can't do it. It's going too far." He's like, "Listen, I'll give you the match. You want a TNT title match at Wembley? You got it. You got it." And then Darby's like, "Nah, surrender." He's like, "All right, fine. I surrender."
Fuck you, yeah, we're done here. We're done.
Yeah. So the team AEW win Blood and Guts. Pretty fun Blood and Guts match. A lot of fun with the guys involved. Yeah. I obviously wasn't the best War Games match I've seen, or like I don't even know if this was the best Blood and Guts.
No,
On
I think-
AEW side.
No.
I think the
No,
best
but yeah.
Blood and Guts
Was when Claudio was swinging somebody on top of the fucking
that-
cage.
That the Jericho, the JAS in the Blackpool Comic Club one was very good.
Yeah, wasn't that the one where Santana got hurt? Like he blew
Yeah,
up
he
his
I
leg?
think so,
He
yeah.
blew his ACL like early on.
Yeah, that was
one.
yeah,
that it was
yeah,
that
that
it was
sucked.
it was that one and the that one and
Like the second or third.
last year's one was very good too.
Yes.
The golden it was Kenny, the Bucks, Ibushi, and Hangman versus the I think it was the JS too.
I believe so.
Actually, was it the Blackpool Combat Club?
Hold on.
Yeah, Blackpool Combat Club.
yeah.
It was Blackpool Combat Club. I think.
Because that's when they were heels.
Oh wait, yeah, because then they had Pac and Takeshi on the team.
Yeah. Good
But yeah,
stuff.
so yeah, pretty good stuff here. Fun show tonight, fun night of wrestling, and yeah, can't wait for Collision because we didn't get anything, but we're gonna see what happens on this Royal Rampage. So rest of the week.
Yeah. Sorry, I just saw one of the participants for the Royal Rampage. And holy shit. This goddamn it. What?
Is it rest of the week?
Oh yeah, wrestler of the week. I'm gonna give it to fuck it. I'll give it to Jack Perry. He deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
He got hit really hard in the head.
Yeah.
So yeah. Mike, who you got?
I'll go the opposite and give it to Darby because he, almost he was close to setting somebody on fire.
Yeah. For me,
And
I guess,
for that jump off the cage, that was awesome.
yeah, for me, I guess, I'm gonna give it to Minoru Suzuki, for being 50-something years old and still working at such a high level. So yeah.
All right, guys, we appreciate you all for watching. Thank you to the one new subscriber or follower. I don't know. I heard the alert go off, but it didn't say the name. Appreciate you. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next week and stuff. Mike won't be here. Mike's going to be out for a bit longer.
I will see you. Yeah, I'll see you guys in September because of work Wednesdays.
Okay. All right, y'all. We'll have a good one.